Hello and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be learning how to secure a Spring Boot microservices using OAuth mechanism. We will be using WSO2 identity server to demonstrate this particular concept. Okay, so to start this, I will be creating a Spring project so you can follow along the same tutorial. So yeah, if you want to create a new project, go to Spring Initializer, which is start.spring.io. So I'll be creating this as a Maven project, Java, and your group and artifact and other stuff will be using Java 8. The two dependencies which you need to remember, one is Spring Web and the other one is Spring Security. Once you are done with it, you can go ahead and generate this project. So you can go ahead and extract it and copy it into the folder of your choice. Okay, we have unzipped here. So the project is available, so we can go ahead and open this project in our IDE. So I'll be using IntelliJ. You can use your own IDE. Open, and I will give this. Go ahead and select your project and then OK. I'll open in this window. Just wait for your project to load. Alright, so the project is loaded fine. So we need to add few dependencies in the POM file. So since we are using OAuth2 as the security mechanism protocol, so we need to add OAuth2 dependency here. So you can go to dependency, and this is org spring framework security OAuth boot, and you need to do this spring security OAuth to auto configure. I'll be using 2.11 release, so you can make use of your version which is compatible with your Spring Boot project. Okay, so the other thing is how this project needs to be packaged. So I want this to be packaged as a jar, so I can go and do this. And also I need to put the encoding so as UTF-8. So I will put these two lines here. So this says that the source and the output encoding are UTF-8 type. So that's all you need to do here in the POM file. So once you do that, just go ahead and reload your POM file so that it downloads all the dependencies. So if you see now, all the dependencies are downloaded. The other thing is it's using OpenJDK 15, so which the project was created on JDK 8. So I'll have to go and change that. So I will change it to 1.8 so that it gets compatible there. Okay, alright, so now it is JDK 1.8. The next thing is you have to go to your main class and enable it to use OAuth. Enable OAuth to SSO. Annotate it with this. So this is available in auto configure OAuth to client. Let's create a class and we'll name it as configure server. Okay, I can also name it as resource server because that makes more closer to what we are trying to achieve. And this extends resource server config adapter. So if you see, this is from Spring Framework OAuth to resource service config adapter. Two things you need to do. You need to annotate as at configuration, and also you need to enable resource server. So the enable resource server is under OAuth to config web configuration. Okay, so the next thing what we have to do is we need to obviously say to secure all the APIs which are being configured within this application. So if you go inside this resource server config adapter, there is a method called configure. So we need to override this. So let's do that using at override configure. So this is the method which we are trying to override, and we need to pass HTTP security. This will throw an exception. Now HTTP security needs to be applied to all the request matcher. So any request comes within this should have the request header request matcher, and what is that header parameter which is coming in is authorization. Remember, this is OAuth, so we pass it as a bearer token, which is an authorization header. So what we need to do is, once this matches and gets validated, authorize request, I will say here as any request and fully authenticated. So you can write multiple conditions here depending on what you want to authorize, what not, and what privileges you need to give for certain APIs and other stuff. So in this case, we will be securing all the APIs, which we will add it on to our controller. Okay, so that is all you need to do to secure your Spring API. So let's test this by adding a controller. We'll call this as a demo controller. Let's create a REST API. Annotate with REST controller, the regular stuff, how you want to. Uh, let's add it as a get mapping. So I will say it as secure PI. Let's secured API. You can give any name, doesn't matter. It's just a normal get API, no logic, but just to print something. I can call it as this is secured API, just to print this message when we get a successful output. So alright, so the last other thing which we need to do is, let me create a file here in the resources and call this as application.yaml, and you need to add this little piece of code in the application.yaml. I will keep this in the GitHub repository, the project and other things, so you can refer back there. So we'll not be using application properties in this case. You can use application.properties, but just to keep the thing simple, I'm adding it into the YAML. A few things aren't used here. So the main important thing is the scope, which is be using OpenID, and also the token info URI, the introspect URI. Alright, so that's all we need to do here as part of the coding. So now we go to terminal and build this project, mvn clean install. Remember, this is a maven project. So once your project builds successfully, you will see a jar file which you have to run, providing a secure token. So in this, you can configure your secure token within your server. So in that case, you don't need to run it using the key store file. So in this case, what I'll be doing is I will be running on the command line, so I'll have to give the key store file. So okay, there you go, the build is successful. All right, so there is a jar file which is generated in the target repository. So let me go ahead to this target repository, open the command console in this particular location. I'll copy this path, go to my command console and go into that path, and also copy this jar file, I will tell you what you need to do to run this. So you need to run it as, since it's a jar file, you need to run it as java minus jar. So before that, you need to pass another parameter, which is a trust store, which is WSO2 trust store, and also the trust store password. So once you do that, okay, so I need to change the jar file name to my present one, and then I can go ahead and run this project. So if you run this project, so it will start up, boot up the project. There you go, the project is running successfully now. Now the next step is you need to call the API. To call the API, so first you need to generate a token. So let's open up another command console, and this is a curl command to generate the API token. You need to pass the WSO2 ID and key, which you can obviously get it from the WSO2 console. So if you come into OAuth OpenID Connect configuration, you will see a client key and a client secret. So you have to pass this client key and client secret as the first command with -u. So this is the client key and this is the client secret, and the grant type is password, and you need to give your user ID and password of the WSO2, and then generate a token using 9443 OAuth2 token, since it's localhost because it's running in my local machine. So if you run this command, then you should get a key. There you go. So here you will get an access token. So copy this access token and call your service using curl command. So the bearer token will be the new token which is just generated, and pass it on to your API which you just created. So your API name is secure API. So I need to give that as the, okay, so it's the same secure API. Okay, secure API. Alright, so if you curl this, then you should see the output. Let's see this. Okay, so this is secured API authorization and the bearer token. There you go. So you got the response. This is a secured API. Let's say if you change anything, tamper anything in this token. So I change the last character of it. So you will get an invalid token. So this token is not valid. So if it is it's failed, then you will get error messages accordingly from the identity server. Only with a valid token you would be able to call your API. Thank you so much for watching. So if you have any questions or queries, please post it on the comment section. I'll be happy to answer, and the source code and all the things will be kept in the GitHub repository, and that will be shared in the comment section. Thank you.